Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I am your audiophile co-host, Albert, and with me, as always, my videographer extraordinaire.
Hi, guys. Nicole, I'm a content creator here for Guardian, and today we have two very special guests with us for this third episode of
Important
Pets,
members of
Vets,
the
and
Guardian
Mindsets.
team here. Give us a quick introduction, if you don't mind, Joanie.
I'm Joanie. I'm the empowerment coach here at Guardian, aka Certified Life Coach.
And June.
And I'm June, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you. I'm very excited to have you two here because I think you guys have an interesting insight into the crossroads between where the doctors and the clients kind of intersect. That's that space where, though we are in a heightened emotional state, we still have to deal with the logistics of finances, with the logistics of, what are we doing with, if we have to take care of, if we have to take time off of work, there's a lot of things that go into pet care that go beyond just the medical side. But I'd love it if you guys can provide some insight for the folks at home as to your experience with that particular area.
Yeah, and not just with doctors, obviously with all the employees, because the doctors definitely deal with a heightened level of stress directly with the clients, but then it trickles down to everybody in the underneath them who's helping them make sure they get their jobs done and are able to do their jobs. So yeah, it's all kind of working together to keep everybody's stress levels at a manageable level, and I think you guys are probably the two that help with that the most on a whole scale.
Yeah, it really does affect. I used to work on the client side for the first 6 years that I was here at Guardian, and it really does affect everyone in the hospital. You can walk through treatment at any time and see people who are even in facilities or hospital assistants and things of that nature, how it affects them when they get to know a pet or they see, a pet in distress or whatever. And so it really does affect everybody, all the way from top down and vice versa. So I think it's really important that we keep everybody in this place of joy when they are able, calmness when they are able, help when they need the help and they are having.
Actually feeling when they're sad or
Correct.
not doing as well as they'd like to be.
Yeah, I can recall at one point when I was on the client side, as the director of client services, that one of the CCRs said to me at one point, when I go into a room, when I go into the comfort room with the client, I don't want to cry. I want to be there for them. And I actually said, if that's the compassion that you feel and the empathy that you feel, absolutely you can hold their hand and cry with them and it affects you. The point is just to not overrun that, and make it about you, right? But we are affected greatly. We fall in love with everyone's pets, and we have a stake in it. And so it does affect us very, very greatly. And so we do a little bit of a different thing. June is here, compassion fatigue, and, in that capacity, and so many other things, and helping, with bereavement and stuff like that. And then what I do on the other end is, I talk about from here forward, what is it that we do that brings joy into your life every day that you walk into this building, and how can we help build that, which is such an amazing part of Jason's dream here. Dr. Berg's dream here is such an incredible vision. So
Yeah, I think the fact that we have two such disciplines to assist both the clients and the staff is pretty amazing. I started a bereavement group in 2001 in a small local GP practice. And that's been running for 24 years now, 25 years, once a month. And the gratitude and the feelings of being able to share their grief when a pet has died has kept that group going. And it's always different people. And here we're doing a similar thing. It's free to the clients. I think that they're, to your point about how people feel, I have cried with clients. I mean, I can't control that. When you're talking about grief and loss, there are people who come here. That pet is their significant other. It's the person that they go home to and speak to. And when that cat or dog or whatever pet they have dies, they've lost a very significant part of their life.
Yeah.
They've lost unconditional love too.
Yep.
That's a super
Yep.
important-
And the routine. Pets are
Yes,
what give
absolutely.
us reason to get up in the morning. A whisker up your nose, a pat from the dog, or a lick. Those are real things. And when those are no longer there, it's a huge loss for people. I also one of the things that I do with clients is, unfortunately, there are a lot of euthanasias. Sometimes people come to us and we're an emergency service, we're a specialty service, and animals are at kind of the end of their life. That, when we have a number of animals that pass during the course of a work shift, people really are affected. Our staff upstairs, even when an animal is very sick and at the end of their life, it's a very difficult thing. It's something we don't take for granted. So sometimes I'll just stand outside as something is occurring, and if the owners cannot be present, which sometimes happens, and no judgments, but some people can't handle it, I see our staff letting that animal know that it's not by itself.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful thing that goes on here quite frequently.
Yeah, it does. I think we do such an incredible job here, with our clients and tying that all together with, the employees. They're so, I've been in this industry for over 21 years. And I can honestly say that everyone here, I have not met a person in this building in the 8 years that I'm here, 7 years that we're open, that does not do this because they love animals and truly shows that compassion and that love. And so it's hard to not be affected.
Yeah.
In the same way, on the flip side, that we cheer when we have these amazing success stories.
Yeah.
And we see a pet that came in that was, very ill, and we have this incredible surgery and, or treatments, and we get super excited about those too. And so we have to be here for those wins as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, literally brain surgery and
Yeah.
all sorts of crazy medical stuff, like miracle working stuff, When it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
But we have such high volume, right? Where as an emergency hospital, right? Things come in when it's bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can make a bad situation better.
Better. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
more often than not, yeah, it stays kind of bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, even when I talk to other people about I make content in an animal hospital, their initial reaction is always like, oh, that's so awesome, that's so cute, you get to play with puppies, and I'm sure everybody upstairs hears this more than even I do, because being a tech or being a doctor or whatever,
I'm sure.
you get to play with puppies and kittens all day, and it's
No,
like,
yeah.
not that this is, it's emergency and specialty.
Yeah.
You're coming here because something is probably really wrong with your pet.
Potentially,
Or potentially, yeah. And there are times where they catch it early enough that it is a miracle turnaround for whatever treatment or surgery they need to be done. But a lot of the times it's more of an extending life. A lot of things are saved, obviously, from that kind of brink of death situation. But a lot of times it's more like, okay, how can we make sure that the rest of this pet's life is
Right.
as good as it can possibly be?
Yeah.
Quality of life. And
Quality of life, yeah.
And I think part of when we talk about how it affects the entire team, right? If you talk about from the minute you walk in the door, right, the client care, representatives, they do so much more than greet you and check you in. When people come in the door, I know for me, I know the type of client that I am. I am super stressed. I have 3 dogs and 3 cats, and if one of them breaks a nail, you would think I don't know anything about veterinary medicine. I come in like a crazy person, crying, all the things. And they're like, he broke his nail. Calm down. Like,
But he's bleeding too much.
Yeah, I'm that client, and people come in stressed for many reasons. I'm stressed because my pet is sick or is potentially sick. I am stressed because financially,
Absolutely.
I'm not sitting around with, $5,000 or $10,000,
Right.
thinking that this is, just put towards this, right? How will I get my pet the help that it needs? And so for me, a lot of the times I operate from a place of fear. So when we see that I don't, what the hell, blah, 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 all those things, that's just from a place of fear.
Yeah.
I want to help my pet, and I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Both from a physical standpoint and from a standpoint of, finance. And so a huge part of what the client care representatives do is to help assist with all of those things. And here at Guardian, we don't say no. We say yes. We say yes. And we try to help you in so many ways to get the assistance that you need should you need it. We are also here in a capacity to help get people to a place where they can just breathe for a minute. Let me come and sit and hold your hand. Let me come and talk with you. Tell me all the things. Tell me about your pet. I've seen everyone in this building do that, from CCRs to assistants to technicians to doctors. They become in some capacity a little bit of, let me help, technically not therapy, but, in that way, in that compassionate way. And so then in return, when they have done that part, they sometimes are depleted or drained and either need, to speak with you and to re-energize, or they will come to me to uplift and where do we go from here today. And so it's super important. All of it's super important.
The interesting thing is that everyone who works here, and there are a lot of people who work here, they bring their person, but they also bring what's going on in their home. Yeah. And on the side of the clients, we get to know a certain part of them. The people who work here, we have some single parents who are juggling taking care of their children and working long shifts. Sometimes there are serious issues like abuse or a divorce that's taking. And when they come in this door, they can only shed so much of it before it starts to affect them. And one of the things that short-term solution-focused counseling can do is to help mitigate that, or have a place even to just vent. Sometimes you just need to
Just
ventilate.
need to get it out.
Yeah. And get some perspective, and maybe get a suggestion. Do you have a therapist? Have you seen somebody about this? And we have a lot of people who, they give it all. They're on the floor holding a dog. I always feel like, and you do a lot of this, is we need pictures of how loving our staff can be. People are sitting in the waiting room and thinking God knows what's going on in there. And I walk in and I see people hugging and petting and talking to the animals.
Like it's their own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I do try to highlight that a lot because of what you said. It's like people don't know what. I mean, you assume when you're coming to a hospital, you hope that they're being treated well, but you don't know. So I think that's really what I've tried to focus. A small portion of the content that I share is
Maybe
like
that doesn't help
showing.
with the you just pet cute dogs and cats all day.
Yeah, it probably doesn't. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, I think about, people, sometimes the little dogs and cats. We have some staff who are known to walk around just on the shoulder, just comforting them.
Yeah. While they're doing something else.
Yeah.
My favorite, there are tons of them. I could go on and on about them, but one of my favorite memories of a staff member doing that was, we had a staff member named Nick. And I remember some of us were coming in the employee entrance, and he was outside with a dog, a very large dog who was unable to walk on its own. And he had the dog on a gurney. And we were like, oh God, is everything okay? Thinking he got stuck out there by himself and he couldn't, get the dog in. And he said, no, everything is fine. He said, I just felt bad. He doesn't get to walk outside a lot. And so I just wanted him to get a little sunshine. And so I took him out to just sit with him outside.
Little stroll.
Yeah.
It was just so amazing. And that's
And
what we
he's
do here.
the same person who, when I first started almost 4 years ago, he was sitting and having his lunch in one of the ICU runs. I mean, it was like, Nick, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having lunch, but, I
With
thought
my friend
this,
over here.
yeah, just being comforting and touching the dog and, just that's where he chose to have lunch, which, I think people know that we're clinically extremely experienced and very good, but those are those little things that they don't know, and I think it's so important. And people's personal lives sometimes lower the ability to be empathetic, to be right on top of things. So, having someone who can, they can ventilate, they can talk about it, I can make referrals. This is life right now is very tough.
Yeah.
And
For everybody, for the most
for
part. Yeah.
everybody. Rents, people's, eggs cost. Please.
Yeah. We could go on.
Okay, yes.
That's a whole different
No,
topic.
that's a
Yeah.
whole-
It's bad. We know.
Right. But it's to have somebody like, me and you around is just, I mean,
Not
Joanie-
every job offers anything
No,
close
So
to
I was
like
just
There's a
that.
lot of
say-
support.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so that everybody is aware, both for what June does and for what I do, there is no charge for that. We don't
Right.
charge the employees.
Thank you.
They
That's
get
great.
this
Or the clients.
for free.
Yeah.
And the yes.
Yes.
The clients. Part of I don't know of any other. I know when we go to conventions, right? Sometimes we will have a life coach or an empowerment coach speaking, etc. This idea here was born of, June came in. It was an idea of when we, post-COVID, right? We need help, and people need people to talk to. And so initially we had you can reach out to this through our insurance or whatever. And then we started to notice it's affecting people, right? And then it affects how we interact. And so this great idea, let's bring June in, and she's amazing and has helped so many people. And then for me, it was this change I was going through a transition of what is it that I want to do, right? I had done this for so long. Clients were, what is it that I want to do? I don't know. And then I decided, I think I want to help people, right? It's something that I like doing with friends and, phone calls and my kids' friends and things like that. And so I kind of went down that road and I thought, well, what will happen? Will I leave here? I don't want to leave here. I love this place. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I went to Dr. Berg with this idea that, hey, I noticed that if people are happy here, they may go home happy. And if they're happy home, they might show up at work really happy. So how do we facilitate that? And so the idea was, well, I don't know. So come up with an idea and let me know. And I worked on this whole thing for 2 to 3 months. And I came in and I sat down with him and with our COO, Mary Ann. And I also worked with the director of culture and helped her facilitate things. And sat down and said, hey, here's the idea. What if we could have employees who want to have a life coach? A life coach costs in excess of $3,000 for a package. We offer that to the employees for nothing.
And it's to help not only with what they do here, but
Yes, in
but
their life,
but in their
personal
life, and like how they can navigate their life so that their work life is better, and their work life so that their home life is
100%.
better, and then not only that, but building their career.
Yes.
Like I wanted, I'm an assistant, but I want to be a tech. How do I take this proper steps to do that? And then, you also help them with believing in the fact that they
That's
can do
what I
it.
was going to say. That's the key to it, right? Because logistically, we know how to get an assistant to be a tech, or a CCR to be a tech, or whoever, right?
Or
a
next
doctor,
supervisor, or whatever.
all the things.
Yeah.
Technically, we know how to do that. what most of the people I work with struggle with is the belief that they can do it, because they've come into this with some old beliefs or stories in their head, or things they grew
Just
up.
bad inner monologue, even like
Yes.
oh, I'm not worth being a supervisor. I would never picture myself being in a management position.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. And so we've had some of those roles. I've had some success with people who have moved positions, who have become, we're a CCR, became a coordinator. How do I do that? Now we work on. I say, okay, cool, we've achieved that goal, and they go, no, but I want to stay with you because I want to do another thing and another thing. Some of it is as much as I want to learn to communicate better. I don't know. I'm not able to go and speak to someone, and I want to do that better. We've now started a group where that'll be coming out in March. And the group will be a little more difficult, right? We don't want to potentially talk about our personal stuff. So the groups will be based on a theme. The first group will be based on good self-talk, because most of us don't realize how much we walk around in a day saying
inner
nice
monologue,
things to ourselves.
and just like dumb things like, oh, I spilled the coffee, and you're like, wow, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, we literally just did this because I spilled his coffee, and I was like, oh, there was so much frustration, and I just
Yeah.
and immediately my brain's just like, idiot,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like,
That's exactly it.
and it was like literally like, it didn't spill the whole thing. It was like a little drop on
It was almost
like,
done.
yeah, like,
I would have been upset if it was a fresh cup of coffee.
Yes,
you've been like, yes, you are an idiot.
I gotta leave.
But it is those things that there's a lot of them. And by the way, such a huge percentage of how life coaching and even, social work and therapy affects people in their performance, the percentage that it is raised in ability to do anything,
Yeah.
to just get people to see those things is so amazing. I also work with the groups. I walk around to all the departments every day and, hey, how's it going? How are you guys feeling? And it's amazing how you can affect the change in mood, just by kind of being up there and being involved and listening and
Checking in,
checking in, right?
Yeah.
Really
owe
checking
it.
in.
I feel like we owe it to our staff, because when they're feeling better about themselves, it translates into good stuff that spreads, not just to the pets, not just to their coworkers, but it goes outside.
Yeah.
It affects their life. And I can think of a number of people that I've worked with that really were in a really bad spot and were able to overcome that, to work towards, in some cases they had, real clinical issues they needed to address, and the support that they got at work, which said, if you need to go, take an hour to go speak to your therapist, it's fine. Or you need to come and see June. There's really, it's not just speak, Jason, Dr. Berg speaking this, he really believes in it, so he makes it possible for people to say, you're going to speak to Joanie for an hour, you can do that.
yeah.
And that's, it's very genuine.
Yeah, and again, there's not many places and workspaces where that's a possibility. You want to take an hour to go talk about your feelings?
Yeah.
We got production that needs to be happening.
Right.
And it's like
Right.
that most places are going to feel that way.
Right.
Like,
Right.
And to be quite honest, one of the things for me when I went and spoke to Dr. Berg and Marianne, was that let's bring this to other places. Let's model this, and then eventually show other hospitals how we do this, so that they can do this for their people. I want to track how it's affected, our employees and what it does beyond that, and be able to say to other places when we go to GVS Con. I want to have, we do table talks. I want to do a table talk that says, hey, look how, we've affected this and what it's affected, in how we retain employees,
Right.
how it's affected the quality of employees, how it's affected our clients and, their feedback and how
Right.
people interact. It's so amazing. I mean, there are so many great things about Guardian. I could talk all day.
But but it's an investment, right? So at the end of the day, when you talk about bringing this forward to other companies, like you're saying, yeah, you have to show the return on that investment. The ROI is always an important thing for any business stuff. So it's like, yeah.
Almost everyone I work with say, oh, I'll tell everybody. I'll stand up at a staff meeting. If you want me to go to another hospital, I'll tell them, do you want to go to GBS Con or any of the other conventions? And I'll stand there with you and tell you like how great it's been and like all of the things. It's amazing to me, the forward thinking of Dr. Berg and how much he walks his talk in wanting people to be not only on the bus. We do a great job about getting people on the bus here in all the things that we offer, but getting the people on the bus in the right seat.
That's so funny. We didn't even release that episode yet, but Jana said exactly the same thing in her episode.
Yeah, because listen, I've been on 3 different seats on this bus.
That's one of our core principles.
It's one of our core principles, absolutely. Right seat on the bus.
No, it's not that.
We act as one team. That's another one. And we do these things so great. And he really walks his talk, as do so many people here, about what we do. I know one of the things Dr. Berg talks about all the time, and he talked about it on his episode, is joyful. Being joyful in what you do, right? And loving what you do. I love this because I love animals. Great. People sometimes think of that as a standard answer. In this building, I find it to be so true. But he also always talks about what he gives, what he wants for the employees. And that's joy.
Because
joy
that affects everything else. If your employees are happy, then the patient gets better care, the client has a better experience,
Yes.
and then all around you can just have a better brand and business.
Yeah.
And
Also, a
And by the
majority
way-
of your day, like a person's day, is often at work. The majority
right,
of the time
yeah.
is spent.
So
Spend
why
more
not
time
try to
together.
have it
Yeah.
be
It's
as
my second family.